Hello. Video number 2. We last talked about the first 15 amendments to the Constitution. Remember, 13, 14, and 15 are the Civil War amendments. As we press on, we get to the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th amendments. These are called the Progressive Era amendments. Progressive meaning going forward, progress, go, pro, good, whatever. And these amendments were passed in the 19 teens to 1920. And these amendments are really about how socially things needed to improve in the United States. It was an era where financially and socially and politically, there was a lot of corruption and we needed to change some things. So you may remember that I spent a lot of time talking about the 16th Amendment, the federal income tax. It says that Congress has the right to lay and collect taxes on income. So angry, I'm taking a sip of my coffee to relieve myself. Federal income tax, the 13th Amendment. So now, if you make a certain amount of money, you don't really make that money. Remember the paycheck thing? That was fun. Oh, look. This is what a paycheck looks like. Moving on. Oh, look, more taxes. All right, whatever. The federal income tax that was passed, though, in 1913, the 16th Amendment, it was passed so that way the rich did pay their fair share. Because back then, you didn't pay taxes. So if you made $1 million, you made $1 million. Moving on. Now, we talked about in our election unit that we, the people, vote for the senators. Before this amendment in the Constitution, the state governments used to appoint senators. So corruption, you'd basically just appoint your buddies. Well, now, in 1913, with the 17th Amendment, it says the Senate of the United States will be made up of 2 senators, but this time they will be elected by the people. So we call this the direct election of senators because we directly elect our senators. So now, we the people vote for the senators. No longer does the state government do it. So that's the 17th Amendment. We now vote for the senators. The 18th Amendment, probably the second worst amendment ever, or according to this, the worst amendment ever. After 1 year from the ratification of this article, the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors within the import. This is a fun little video if you want to watch it. Within the importation there, hereby prohibited. Prohibition of alcohol. Should alcohol be illegal? No, it shouldn't. That video is so bad. It's actually a really good video. You should watch it. It's the prohibition of alcohol. Americans thought that there was a big social problem, that people were blaming financial and social and moral issues on alcohol. People squandering their money, people beating their partners, people losing money, people showing up publicly drunk, etc. And so they decided to get rid of alcohol. Now, it didn't say you can't drink alcohol. It just says you can't make it, sell it, or transport it. So if you already got it, you're good. But obviously, if you, how do you get, look at that. Look at all this alcohol they're pouring into the ground, into these sewers. Bunch of drunken rats. U.S. voted drunk. It was horrible. Prohibition. The worst 13 years of my life. Prohibition. The 19th Amendment, buckle up, ladies. Women's right to vote. The 19th Amendment. The right of the citizens of the United States to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Sex is the word that means it's gender. It changes all of the he's in the Constitution to he's and she's. So now you may not be denied the right to vote based on your gender. So Susan B. Anthony and in the 1840s, the push for women's suffrage means right to vote. Finally, in 1920, women had the right to vote, starting with the women's suffrage movement of the 1840s. And so now women can vote in federal elections. This is a good little video too, by the way. Now, this is a little fun fact. If you look at the Wyoming seal, it says equal rights. The Wyoming Territory, officially opened up in 1869, was the first territory where women had equal rights, the right to vote. And then when Wyoming became a state in 1890, they were the first state to grant women the right to vote. And by doing that, they tried to encourage women to move out west because women could have the right to vote. Yay, 19th Amendment, 19th Amendment, women's right to vote, yay. The 20th Amendment is the... Is that a duck? Huh. It says in 1933, the 20th Amendment, the terms of the president and vice president shall end at noon on the 20th day of January, and that the senators and House of Representatives, their term ends on the 3rd day of January. We call the 20th Amendment, it shortens the lame duck period. Shortens the lame duck period. Yay! Now, the lame duck period is the time between Election Day and Inauguration Day. So, by law, Election Day is the first Tuesday of November, with the exception of it being November 1st. And then Inauguration Day is the day when the President and the Congress officially become the President and Congress. So, back in the day, Inauguration Day used to be in March. So that means if you were not reelected, or if you were the outgoing president, you spent the month of November, December, January, February. That's 4 months where you really didn't have to do anything because you knew you weren't going to be the president. We call these lame ducks. These lame ducks basically are ducks that just float around. They're lame. They're lame ducks. So the president, after Election Day, if they know that they're no longer going to be president, they can pretty much do nothing like a bunch of lame ducks. Or if they want to work hard, freaking work hard, man. But now it shortens the lame duck period. Inauguration Day used to be March 4th. Now it's January 20th. So we can get the new president in and get the old president out. Get the new Congress in, get the old Congress out. Because we don't want things to wait. We want the president to get in and get working. So that's the 20th Amendment. That shortens the lame period. The time between Election Day and Inauguration Day. The 21st Amendment of the Constitution. In 1933, during the Great Depression. The 18th article of amendment to the Constitution of the United States is hereby repealed. Happy times are here again. Woohoo! This isn't in the amendment. This is, I'll italicize that. It repeals prohibition. It is the only amendment that amends an amendment. What? An amendment is a change to the Constitution. So the 18th Amendment amends the Constitution because it amends the 18th Amendment. Yeah, it's the only amendment that amends an amendment. The 21st Amendment gets rid of prohibition. Yeah. 21 to drink, baby. 21 to drink. No more prohibition. Now we can have our Coors Light watching the Falcons lose on Sunday. It was also a big deal because during the Great Depression, the government didn't have any money. So they were able to make money off alcohol because of taxes. Yay, taxes. Taxes. We're almost done. The 22nd Amendment says, no person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. And no person who has held the office of president or acted as president for more than 2 years of a term to which some other person was elected president shall be more than once. This limits the presidency to 2 terms. An easy way to remember it, look, 22, 2 terms. So the 22nd Amendment says, I'm taking a sip of coffee. The 22nd Amendment says you may not serve more than 2 terms. Why 2 terms? Well, George Washington served 2 terms, and he stepped down after 2 terms, so it seemed fitting that it should be 2 terms. Plus, it was just a couple of years after Franklin Delano Roosevelt served. He was elected to 4 terms, but he died in the middle of his 4th term. And Harry S. Truman became president. No one really knew who he was. And so people were kind of thinking to themselves, we should probably limit the president just in case, something happens. We want to make sure that we don't have the same president for forever. So, 22nd Amendment, 2 terms. 23rd Amendment is an easy one to remember. In 1961, the 23rd Amendment gave Washington, D.C. 3 seats in the Electoral College. The district constituting the seat of government, which is Washington, D.C., shall appoint in such manner as Congress may direct. So, you now get 3 D.C. Electoral College votes. Yay! Because it kind of seems silly that in Congress, it seemed kind of silly that the rest of the nation could vote for the president, but then Washington, D.C. didn't have any say. It's like where the president lives. So they said that Washington, D.C. could get the same amount of representatives as the state with the least amount of votes, which is Wyoming with 3 votes in the Electoral College. So 22 2 terms, 23 3 Electoral College seats. We're almost done. In 1964, Congress passed the 24th Amendment, which said the rights of the citizens to vote in any election shall not be denied. I should highlight shall not be denied or abridged by any poll tax. A poll tax means you're paying to vote. Now, back in the day, think of the time period, 1964. Since the Civil War, since Reconstruction, 1860s, all the way to the 1960s, Southern states, in a way to continue segregation, used to require freed blacks who were eligible to vote. They had to pay poll taxes, so they had to pay like $1, $2, $3 to vote. Sometimes they had literacy tests, and sometimes the literacy tests weren't even in English. So this was a way to say we are not going to disenfranchise. Disenfranchise means prevent someone to vote. We are now going to make sure that everyone has the right to vote, that you don't have to pay a fee to vote. If they asked me to pay to vote, I'd be so mad. My vote, they should be paying me to vote. So no more poll tax. It abolishes the poll tax. No more paying to vote. 2 more to go. The 25th Amendment. This is so funny because it happened before Richard Nixon. In case of removal of the president from office or his death or resignation, the vice president shall become the president. This is mainly passed because of the number of numerous deaths of presidents. William Henry Harrison, Zach Taylor, Abraham Lincoln, James A. Garfield, William McKinley, Warren G. Harding, FDR, and JFK all died in office. They were all dead. They all died while president. And so now the issue was, well, who's next? There wasn't really anything in the Constitution that said who should be next. So they created the presidential line of succession. So the 25th Amendment creates the presidential succession list. After the president dies or is removed, it goes to the vice president, then the Speaker of the House, then the president pro tempore of the Senate, then the Secretary of State, Treasury, Defense, Attorney General, Interior, Agriculture, It goes through all of these people. Eventually, I'll be the president. A lot of people in the government got to die, but I think I can do it. I'm capable. So, 25th Amendment creates the presidential succession list. The lowest it's ever gotten is when Gerald Ford, who was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, had to take over Spiro Agnew, who was then removed from office, quit because of Richard Nixon. I am not a crook. Richard Nixon needed to show people that he was not a crook, and he was not a crook. He was a crook. Richard Nixon and his vice president, Spiro Agnew, they resigned, and then Gerald Ford, who was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, he went from Speaker of the House all the way up to President of the United States. He didn't do a good job. The last amendment, I don't care about the 27th Amendment, honestly. See, look, this is what it says in the Constitution. Honestly, no one cares. It doesn't say that. I put that in there. The 26th Amendment. In 1967, the rights of the citizens who are 18 years of age or older to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of age. This lowers the voting age to 18. Prior to this amendment, you had to be 21 years old to vote. Now, the crazy thing is that children were being drafted out of high school at the age of 18, and they were being sent over to Vietnam to fight in war. So at 18, you could go fight in war and die for your country, and in some states, you could legally drink, but you actually couldn't vote. So the government felt it was important to change the voting age from 21 to 18. And we're all for that. Yay, 18. Even though I personally don't think 18-year-olds should vote because I don't think you guys know anything. But that's just my opinion because I'm right. Those are your amendments. I'm not putting the 27th on the test. It's just stupid. So there are your amendments. I hope you enjoyed the amendments. And remember, you can always amend an amendment. Amending through Mr. Barry.